What was your in a toxic family moment? When my friend pointed out that most people are allowed to shower every day without having to negotiate it. That's so ducking strange. It's the type of unnecessary strange that makes me want to smash faces in. Please tell me you grew up in abject poverty, because only that type of behavior be understandable. Nope. Average middle class life. This continued until I was an adult with my own job contributing to expenses. Too. Same. Sometimes I would straight up just be told no. Didn't realize that wasn't normal until way later. I had my graduation from engineering the same day as my mother's birthday. I, of course, had nothing to do with the date choosing. My mother said I ruined her birthday, so she scheduled her birthday party to be on my actual birthday. Her birthday is March. Mine is August. That's dedication to being a bitch. Hope life has been better otherwise. I don't talk with my mom anymore. That was just the last drop in a long list of small abuses. Life has been much better. Thanks 3. Glad to hear it and most welcome. When I got put in a children's home at 6 and the other kids there were scared of the stories I would tell about my home life. Gosh, that sounds terrible. I hope you're doing okay now. My dad screamed at me for 20 minutes when I was 11, called me a bitch, and told me to get the hell out of his house when I casually mentioned we seem to argue more than other families. Oh my gosh, are you doing alright? Actually, probably a lot better than I should be. Therapy, moving out, and a coming to Jesus moment for my dad has helped our relationship immensely, as well as him coming to terms with his own childhood trauma and learning how to cope with anger in a healthier way. It was a rough set of years, but I also know my story is best case scenario, so I try not to bring it up too often since I know I'm in the minority and don't want others who are still dealing with their trauma to feel less than. Can I ask, what does a coming to Jesus moment mean? It's a moment where you see the light on an otherwise unpleasant situation. It's usually extremely uncomfortable. For my dad, when I was 14, things hit an all-time low, and my mom was about to leave him when he said he was willing to listen. She had my brother and I tell him how scared we were to be around him and how we generally hated being in the house because of the family dynamic. Note, my mom also did some pretty abusive stuff and never stood up for us when my dad got abusive. That was a whole other conversation. My mom makes up lies then makes me look like the liar, and this is why I haven't spoken to my mother in over a decade. My younger brother died of complications from COVID a couple of months ago, and I forced myself through a 10-minute conversation with her. 10 minutes of life wasted. My condolences about your brother. May his memory be a blessing. Thank you. I appreciate that. When I moved in with my so and noticed she called her family for things I would never call my own for because she actually likes them and doesn't see communicating with them as an obligation, but rather because she wanted them to be part of her everyday life. This is something I noticed with my husband too. He talks to his family almost daily and has a good familiar relationship with his parents. I talk to my family maybe twice a year and it fills me with dread. Doing family stuff with him is hard and it makes me uncomfortable to be around a normal family. Like I just don't know how to act lol. I grew up in an incredibly unstable and violent family. I got out and haven't looked back. I'm 100% no contact now. My wife's family have group text chats. They FaceTime every week. They are in constant contact and clearly love each other. I don't even know how many nieces and nephews I have. It's been many years, but it still occasionally throws me for a loop. I can fully relate to this. I completely detached from anyone in my family that's still alive, although occasionally communicate with my sister via text. She'll tell me when someone in the family is dying, and my reaction is just oh. I don't want to be heartless, but I never felt a positive connection and I don't really know any of them at this point, nor do they know me now. When my ex-sister-in-law broke into my house and started painting my living room while I was at work, apparently, she didn't like the color and that would just ruin her Christmas. Wait. What? Yup. She also used to break in and wear my clothes, sell my things without permission. give me veiled insults in front of people, demand money, talk bad behind everyone's back, lie about being abused, scam charities for struggling mothers for money/gifts, tell people her son was autistic when he isn't, claim to be illiterate/learning disabled for benefits, claim she was a genius, she dropped out of grade 9, and was the dumbest person I have ever met. I know education does not equal intelligence, but she was ducking dumb. Cunning and manipulative. But dumb. Closed bracket comma. Paint her partner as an abusive scumbag to people. And have outbursts when she doesn't get her way. She also stole my ex's inheritance. She asked me if I had any clothes for her pregnant friend when I was very underweight due to anorexia. When she was a kid, she would lock herself in the bathroom to give herself bruises that she would blame on her brothers. For fun. I spent 6 years putting up with her antics and would get bootishes MYS's tear whenever I got upset. I have about, let's see, 8 million stories. She was a narcissist. What can I say? Eat a story. Did she just have a spare key, or did she get in through the window or something? I actually have no idea how she got in. My mom said I love you at the end of a phone conversation when I was 22, and I realized it was the first time she ever said that. My dad said he was sorry for something he did for the first time in 27 years a couple months ago. I still tear up a bit when I reread his text. Hey, people change. I'd rather have someone apologize than ignore it ever happened. Yeah, it's amazing how much my dad has changed. He's still the same guy, but less of a get your shit together attitude and more well, why did that happen? How is your mental health? Whenever something bad happens in my life, IDK why he took such a drastic change in a couple years, but I'm glad. I think it might have been retirement/being financially secure/lots of free time. Getting old can really wake you the duck up. Source, I'm ducking old. When my overly religious grandma tried to defend her blatant favoritism of my older sister by telling me that I was born evil. Man, duck your grandma. Christ, what an awful thing to say. I don't understand how that grandma think that God likes what she says, like a WTF. Some people take religion too far, and it has a bad influence on non-religious because they think almost everyone religious is like that. Exactly. Told my mom I was depressed, and she basically told me to deal with it myself. That was 4 years ago, and I'm still having a shitty time of it. A while ago my mom saw my cuts. She pointed to them and said, "Oh," whilst pulling a sad face, then proceeded to carry on with her day. That's like a whole new level of insane. Yeah, it's pretty ducked. Are you doing any better these days? When I realized what sex was and that my family shouldn't be doing it to me. Not kidding. Ducked up childhood. Stories like yours always break my heart. I'm so sorry you went through that, and I hope you're doing as well as you can. Well, to be honest, 35 years later, and I'm finally just beginning to feel like I'm going somewhere better. Thanks. Good for you. Your parents were ducked. Meeting regular parents and witnessing them actually be good to their kids. Help them, love them, and teach them valuable lessons about life. Not yelling for every small mistake they did. Also now realizing that not every raised hand is about to hit you, sometimes it's there to pet you. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't the case. As a dad to a nearly 4-year-old, I can't imagine the mentality it would take to do that to a child. I'm sorry to hear it happened to you. Hopefully later life has turned out better. Rooting for you. Rooting as English is hard and the other is bizarrely mean. My first memory is of my parents fighting when I was 3. I remember my mom looking at my dad and yelling, "This is why we're getting a divorce." They separated when I was 2, but took some time to figure out custody, as well as the actual finalization of their divorce. My mom was always so angry and would scream, throw things, and tell me consistently she didn't want me around. I finally had a breaking point with my mom the day before I turned 17. We got into a huge fight and I finally realized that she was just taking out the aggression of her past on me. I realized she had been blocking out the abuse she put me through, and finally brought it to her attention. I know her mother was an abusive alcoholic, and she kept perpetuating this cycle of abuse. What triggered the whole realization? was when I dated someone for the first time when I was 16. And my BFS mom treated me like her own. It was the first time I felt welcome in a home. She made sure I ate because she knew I wasn't eating properly at home. She always had a bed made for me in case I ever needed a place to stay, and would always check in with my BF to make sure I was okay when I went home. I moved out the month I graduated high school, and I have not gone back to her house. I'm proud of you for stepping away from her. Hope you're doing better. Years ago I was in the hospital after getting stabbed in the abdomen. Went under and the EMS had to bring me back. Woke up in the hospital full of stitches, but still alive. I had a really great group of friends that came throughout the weeks of my being there, to the point that I got my own room. Because it was disturbing fellow patients I shared a room with and the staff were super nice about it. Only family member to visit was my younger sister, my mom, dad, other 4 siblings. None of them came, and my mom only phoned and communicated to me through the nurses, never speaking directly to me until I was back at home. And this was during a time where we actually had a decent, comparative to other times in life, relationship. When I was 15, my mother pushed me, causing me to fall through the glass door of our apartment building. I was cut very badly. I ended up with over 300 stitches and 100 staples. For 3 days nobody came to visit me. I didn't have friends. And then on the 4th day my mother showed up with a card. She stayed less than 5 minutes. When I opened the envelope after she had left, I realized it wasn't a card at all, but a bill for the cost of replacing the window. Some people need a high five to the face with a shovel. A very, very spiky shovel, preferably poisoned. My father was extremely abusive in every way. Living like that since birth, I thought it was normal. Every time he'd tell me to do something, I would do it immediately knowing how mad he'd get if I didn't. But every time I did something, he would get mad and say he didn't say to do it like that / he didn't tell me to do it all and just wanted me to sit down and shut up. No matter what, it'd end up getting my ass beat. I would be so confused as to what I did wrong. I could have sworn I did exactly what he asked, but he said I didn't, and I would get so frustrated and upset with myself. If I only could listen right the first time, I wouldn't be getting beat all the time, I thought. So one day, I wanna say I was 4, he told me to do something, and I felt this determination wash over me that I would hear and understand exactly what he said. I made sure I understood every word. I knew exactly what he wanted done. This I knew. I wasn't going to doubt myself because it made absolute sure I knew what he wanted in full clarity. I just need to stress I was absolutely 100% sure of what he'd said, and I went and did exactly what he wanted. And when I was done, he screamed at me about how that's not what he said. And while he was beating me, I felt comfort in the fact I knew I was right. He was wrong. And he must have been wrong all the others time too. And he was probably wrong about all the things he would do to me and let others do to me. That's when I really realized he wasn't like the daddies in the cartoons that loved and cared for their kids. He would look for any reason to abuse me. Not long after, I finally told my mom, accidentally, about all the abuse, and by my 5th birthday I would never see him again. So happy ending. Also, duck that guy. Agreed. Duck that guy. No child deserves that. Hope later life has been better. My birthday, I got you a pack of socks, but I realized I can get them cheaper from somewhere else. So I'm going to return them. My brother 2 weeks later, I think I'd like archery. Will you get me the $600 bow? Parents, oh hell yes, I never got the socks. I feel you, man. Had similar shit as a kid. My dad paid for my sister's dorm room supplies and her car payments, all the while refusing to pay for mine. Don't feel bad, friend. My father gave his Jeep to my sister for her first vehicle. I had to buy my first car, and only vehicle I have had at this point. I love you, Dad, but duck you too. I have 3 siblings. Older brother got grandma's car when she couldn't drive anymore. Younger sister got a car. Youngest sister also got a car. Both cars were hand-me-downs, but still. Guess who had to buy their own damn car? I don't think it was intentional, but I'm still salty about it 15 years later. Every time I said I like this or that, I got immediately criticized or questioned or made fun of to make me feel like shit. Same place. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade and got mocked relentlessly because my favorite movie was Spirit, a stupid horse movie. And then even worse, when I wanted a horse plate for my birthday, I was embarrassed as a 7-year-old to like horses and ashamed to say a horse movie was my favorite. Sat, man. What the duck? That movie is amazing. Still one of my favorites at 27. Screw your family. The soundtrack is amazing. Dude, right? Hey, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.